Hello, welcome to the behind the scenes commentary for Beyond the Basement Door. I am the writer and director Jason Huls, and I'm here with the
Director of photography. I'm Paul Lyzun, and we're gonna sit here and have a conversation with you.
and producer. You're also a producer.
Oh yeah, that too. Oh, Beyond the Basement Door.
Here we have Steve Christopher, our lead, hearing from the stranger in the very beginning. This is a story I actually wrote a few years ago, and it was inspired by all of the various different H.P. Lovecraft type of stories that I had encountered when I was younger. And I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do a film.
Hi, Mr. Roebuck.
Yes, that was Dan Roebuck. He plays Roman Grady. He is sort of our hero's rival, Alistair's rival in cancer research.
And there is Alistair, a.k.a. Steve Christopher.
Yes, Steve Christopher was awesome. He was actually, him and Dan are best friends, and from what I understand, this was the first scene the first film that they got to appear on screen together in. So that was kind of cool for him, he said.
This is a really fun batch of shots to film here.
Yeah, this was I remember this being like some of the lowest stress of the entire shoot. Most of it was, shot over the course of 6 days, I believe.
6 days, and I believe on average we were shooting about 14 to 16 hours a day.
Long days, very long days.
In a very hot house that we realized 2 days later had working air conditioning.
Yeah, we just couldn't somehow. It just wasn't turning on until it was just a switch or something, right?
Yeah,
it was something very simple.
Yeah, we just didn't ask questions.
Yeah, but so yeah, this in these lab shots, this was fun because I think it was just me and you and Steve, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. We were just. It was a nice little intimate setting, and we basically shot this in probably a couple hours.
Yeah, and I think this was this footage was JVC, right?
Yes, this was the JVC.
Most of the shoot was with a Canon camera. This one we switched it up a little bit.
The crane.
Yes, this was a crane shot. I remember we had rented it for a couple different shots you'll see later in the movie, but
we were parked out in the middle of the street,
yes,
blocking traffic.
Yeah, we were just kind of like, well, let's just do this real quick before anybody notices. Not advisable, but we got our shot.
This location was provided by one of your friends, wasn't it?
Yes, a guy that I knew growing up. He was in a lot of different bands and everything, and this house was abandoned and slated to be knocked down. It actually is knocked down currently. I mean, they've demolished it. And so, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of flexibility in terms of design. That's why we were able to etch the stranger's symbol into the door and not have to replace the door. It was because the house was getting torn down anyway.
Alistair, how are you today?
Hi, Mrs. O'Leary. I'm fine.
Oh my goodness, what happened to your neck?
It's a shaving thing.
Larna was fun. That's Larna Smith. I think she's an actress from Indianapolis.
Can you believe it? Art nailed a 12-point buck.
Yeah, she was fun to work with.
I couldn't help but notice last night that there were some odd noises coming from your basement.
Oh, I'm just building a workbench.
A workbench? I thought you were a scientist.
I am.
At 3 a.m.?
Was it that late?
I'll tell you what, tonight I'll send Arthur over and
We had a nice complement of
Thanks, but it's kind of a personal
individuals with us from DePaul University helping us out. This was a quote-unquote blue light class that some of the students had to come on down to Bloomington, Illinois to help us film.
Yes, almost the entire movie was shot in Bloomington, which is where I grew up, Bloomington Normal, and that's where I know Kevin from, the house owner, and that's why we were. It just made sense for location and what we needed.
Oh, the people waving their lights underneath the door.
That's actually Kevin waving lights underneath the door. Yeah, this lake stuff. This is about a mile from my mother's house, actually, out by Mackinac, Illinois. And I remember originally there was dialogue during some of the scenes that we had cut, and there was the great sound of a chainsaw over in the background. Somebody was chopping down trees, just like had to be no more than a mile away, but it was clear as day. That isn't the reason we cut the dialogue, but yeah, that was an interesting challenge. Here we have Steve dreaming of past events. Excellent light work by Kevin.
It's not about the money, Roman. It's about saving my life.
This shot is
You try to take that from me.
way, way cooler than what the original shot that we had set up. It was actually very orange in that room.
Yeah, lots of color correction. We tried to do some work with the color every time. You'll notice that every time he's talking to Roman on the phone, or anytime something sort of unusual is happening to him, there's a strong element of the color blue in the scenes. Here we see he's got what he's really hiding under that bandage is a stitched up scar.
Very little lighting in that shot.
There's a lot of natural, right?
Mm-hmm. Just basically one light hanging.
This is where we first hear from the stranger. That's what we call him. He's a nameless figure who's guiding Alistair through this process. And in the background, we see the master. Those of you who like bad horror films may recognize him from Manos, The Hands of Fate. A buddy of mine who worked on the film, one of the producers, Paul Brooks, asked if his wife at the time could supply a painting for the background. And I said, sure, no problem. You know, we've got this mantle, we can hang a painting. I expected something much smaller, and then they showed up with this gigantic painting of the master and one of the hounds from Manos. So I expected it to be sort of a little subtle shout out, and it's probably not so subtle, but, you know, fun anyway. But so the stranger's guiding Alistair, telling him the rules. He can't go down to the basement.
Look, I think you just need to get out of here for a while.
We actually had shot some other scenes with the stranger previous, but those ended up on the cutting room floor, so this is the first time anybody sees or hears anything from him.
What if I can't?
A lot of interesting camera work here. A lot of in focus, out of focus here. Lots of movement.
Yeah, we did a lot of purposeful out of focus stuff in this whole movie, really.
Yes.
The neighbor's steaks have fallen on the floor.
Alistair needs to really paint that kitchen.
You know, one thing about that house too that I thought was funny is that it ended up being much more designed than I had anticipated. Because
Yes.
I mean, there was nothing in that house. We furnished the whole thing,
And painted about half of it.
right. It ended up being a lot more livable looking than I anticipated it looking.
This scene was extremely difficult to film because we were actually shooting this scene during business hours. So
Yeah.
we had about a third of the coffee shop to ourselves, but yet there was just daily transactions happening.
Sure. Yeah, I remember we'd planned this. This was a Sunday morning, and we were thinking, surely that's going to be an easy time. This is a downtown normal coffee shop, the Coffee House, which is like my favorite coffee house in the whole world. And we thought, Sunday morning, there won't be a lot going on, and we come to find out that it is actually the busiest time of week for them. So, yeah, there was certainly some audio challenges here. And that's Brenna Roth. She's been in lots of films, lots of different projects. And she was fun. She came from Ohio to work with us.
Hey, there's Dan.
Hey, Dan Roebuck again.
Oh, no.
I'm sitting in the back seat, bouncing around as Steve tries to drive.
I think something we didn't ever draw attention to, but Steve doesn't actually ever shut off his car and take his keys with him.
No, he just
Jumps out of the car and runs.
Uh-oh. He's got something.
And one of our favorite people, Richard Pryor Jr.
Yeah, he was great. He was really, really fun to work with and a really funny guy.
Yeah, I mean, showed up prepared, like, just was a complete joy the entire time.
Yeah, and all of that plastic on the ceiling, that was there.
Yeah.
Because it really shows off my wonderful lighting
Is there
scheme.
a light behind the fridge?
Yes, yeah, there is a light behind that fridge.
I know you hate that.
And it will make a few more appearances. As I think every film I do from now on will have a light behind the fridge. Just as my calling card.
It's your trademark.
There were a few takes that Richard did that had the entire crew just busting up laughing. I mean, he was great.
So again, we see the color blue. She's a little out of it. She's she's entranced. She's being pulled toward the door until Steve interrupts her, and Richard just has to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, he's just coming into any door he can. I mean, if I was hoping to see if we could just have him come through a window, but we just didn't have enough time.
This was actually a little different. This originally in the script, he was talking to Roman. He was trying to call Roman and get a hold of him because he was worried that he hadn't. Roman kept showing up in his thoughts, and after he found out he was missing, he tried to call the office. But we figured it might work a little bit better if he calls his friend Brenna, aka Andy from the coffee shop, for a little support. And he can't bring himself to actually say anything to her about what's going on. So here Alistair is really tripping out. The thoughts of the lady in blue, the lady from the lake, are turned a little bit more sinister.
A very good makeup job there.
Yes, Ryan Sharples was the guy who handled that. And we've worked with him on several projects now.
Oh yeah, and this is interesting here. That water, that's a completely different bathroom because the house did not have running water, so we had to bring in buckets of water from about a block away from another home, so that we could actually fill the bathtub for this scene here. So we did that bathtub, him getting into the bathtub, just one take.
One take, yeah, because otherwise we only had one outfit for him, one change of clothes. So I mean, it would have been involved drying him out, drying his clothes out.
At least the tub was clean.
Yeah.
But it's worked out pretty well.
I think the water was semi-warm, right?
I think so. I think.
I don't remember Steve complaining.
No.
So the mental hell ride continues. This is our first physical glimpse of the stranger, played by our friend Jacob Alexander, which you never actually get to find out. You never really see his face. He remains in the shadows pretty much the whole time on purpose.
Which is such a disgrace. He's such a good-looking guy.
Whatever is in the basement decides to try to pull the key under the door.
Yet Alistair stays true to his promise and doesn't go down.
He is able to resist.
This was a fun scene to shoot. We had 4 cameras going here.
We did. We brought Dan in for one day, and we had various different cannons laying around, and I think we just had everybody grab one, because that's not the kind of...
Oh, yes.
You can't afford to not get the shot, or have something happen to the footage.
I believe I was behind a camera. Paul Brooks was, Eric Miller and Sean Landry. All of us had a camera that we were behind doing this, and we figured since we had a small budget, we needed to cover this quickly. Might as well get everything, and we did a pretty good job by lighting all of this and being pretty efficient with our camera angles.
Oh, sure. And I mean, this was one of those days that, I mean, Dan came in, we were shooting this, and this is a pretty meaty scene. I mean, you know, there's some big reveals here, and this was after 12 hours Dan came in.
I believe so. I believe he was, our green room was the basement, because that was the only place in the house that was at least sub 70 degrees that day.
Yeah, I mean, the lights were just blazing hot in that house. And I mean, we shot this in June, July.
It was in the middle of a heat wave.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous.
So, I mean, just makeup, just trying to keep people not shiny just because of the fact that it was just so warm. I mean, we would get done with a take and basically have to towel people off. But Dan was great. I mean, he was funny. He kept the crew relaxed, and I think that's what made the shoot go much easier.
Yeah, I mean, after 12 hours, you know, it was nice to have a guy who, you know, was wanting to have a little fun, you know, with everybody.
I was always contemplating getting a shot of just the backyard with a little bit of a recently dug grave.
Oh, right, because he was buried. Yeah, that might have been nice. All right, so time's up. The stranger says Alistair can get down there. It's go time. I remember we were shooting Steve opening the door. The lock fell off several times because it wasn't actually attached. I think it was like Velcroed.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that was one of the few ways that we did that. And,
yeah.
I mean, again, you just live and learn.
The stranger watches on from some identified bunker.
And in the background, we did a quick shoot after one of our classes one day of many students from DePaul that helped us for the projector scene.
Yeah, the projector people. And why are there projector people? You'll find out soon. Stranger likes his old 70s tech.
He does, and it was great because Kevin's family had a whole basically warehouse full of just things that we just used as props. This was one of them.
Yeah, this is a really old and really expensive music box, and actually, to Petter's credit, the composer Petter Walbeck, he wrote a new song based off of the Hammer hits. So that's not the original song that the music box plays, because we were pretty sure that song was probably copywritten somewhere. So he said it wouldn't be a problem to write something new, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Oh, Mrs. O'Leary.
Back for more.
Always interested here. Just got to find out what he's doing.
The epitome of the poster child for nosy neighbor.
This was a fun scene to light. Just really dark and dreary and
sort of noirish.
And Mrs. O'Leary, she's about to meet her death, but not really by Steve.
Yeah. Oh, right. This is.
I get to make
your moment.
I get to make my first appearance in a 10-wing film.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve, not Steve.
Yep.
That is you.
Yep. So.
That was Steve. More makeup by Ryan. And he puts the nosy neighbor down once and for all. I think this is kind of a turning point for his character, just because, I mean, that's the point at which, you know, it's the what he's protecting here in the basement, it is elevated to the level of murder. Before, it was just lies and shutting people out of his house and trying everything he can. I mean, I think her coming down there into the basement kind of pushed things beyond over the cliff for Alistair. And here we of course learn what is actually going on at the lake. There's an implantation, which that was some more great makeup with Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
I think he did that with like a catheter or something in an air bladder. Maybe it was a condom. I don't know.
And we ended up shooting that at 2 totally different times, 2 totally different locations.
Oh, right, the implantation, the actual shot of the implantation. Yeah, that was way later. And now we see what has come of it. It's our little hybrid creature baby, which was a design by Ryan. He's got the tentacles moving, and the way I kind of was looking to do this scene with all of the effects on it was I had in mind that I wanted something that kind of represented visual distortion, like almost like this little creature was so unholy or that it couldn't even really be filmed. So you're seeing something that's a sort of warped, just the image is warped.
It feels clear.
I think it works well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with how it turned out. It was pretty much exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, this is basically the shots of the stranger that you get to see him partially.
Well, he didn't.
You never really get to fully see him.
This is incredible.
We like to hold something back,
Yeah.
make you wonder.
You were an ideal host. Still, there will be many more.
Here there's a little talk of the plan, how there's going to be more.
Alistair, I have to protect you. I have to move soon.
I know. Made the plans last week.
I told you there were hunters.
And my phone's actually ringing, so it's actually Paul Brooks, one of the other producers on the project. So I know he left me a voicemail here. Let's just he was going to say something about the film, so let's just see what that is.
Let's hear it.
Hey, I just want to make sure you don't forget to mention on this commentary that magazine, Tomorrow's Science Today, I made that, and it's not real. So I'm sure that people, when they see it, they're going to want to go out and buy a copy of it, but you can't. It's not real. I'm not even sure if Dan Roebuck is real. So if you're listening to the commentary, do not go out and try to buy that magazine because it's not real.
Okay, well, that was Paul Brooks.
Huh.
Thanks for the comments, Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, Alistair?
Hey, here
Andy
comes-
shows up.
Here comes Brenna. Nice little dolly shot that we had here.
Mm-hmm.
Alistair?
She's one of them. She's a hunter.
And so now, of course, Alistair's completely over the line because he's listening to the voices in his head over any sort of reason and unleashes this little thing on his friend. Now, it's not just about people that are intruding. It's pretty much anybody who gets in the way is done. So he has devolved somewhat.
And that was a much, much more bloody scene that we had originally filmed, but we ended up just cutting it.
Yeah.
But, I like the fact that we did cut it and then cut to this shot here.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a wraparound from the beginning, of course. And this is where, again, we were up and we hauled this giant monster crane out into the middle of nowhere outside of Bloomington Normal for our final shot. Again, it was just a lot of fun to do.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
So that was the film. Here's the our soundtrack, What Lies Beneath, with our good friends Verite, Chicago rock band. And we did a video with them, which should be also on this DVD/Blu-ray.
Yeah, watch it. It's great.
Yeah, we had it was really cool of them to want to work with us.
But yeah, it was a good experience. I really enjoyed having the opportunity to be a part of the DePaul Blue Light program that helped fund it as far as getting a grant was concerned. And
Absolutely, big thanks to them.
so, but there it is. It's finished. We're happy, and
Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to find out about any of our other projects, you can go to www.tenwingfilms.com. And again, I am Jason Huls.
And I'm Paul Lyzun.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Bye.